Coming up on Smart Tech Today, Matthew Casanelli and I talk a lot about Google, some follow-up about Google Home's scheduling features, some ways to keep you organized this holiday season. Apple HomeKit gets some new additions by way of Philips Hue and some smart blinds. We love talking about those. Plus, Matthew Casanelli gives you his review of Wyze's latest cam. It's version 3, and it's the best they have yet. All that plus our picks of the week coming up on Smart Tech Today. Smart Tech Today is brought to you from Twit's LastPass Studios. You're focused on security, but are your employees? Well, LastPass can ensure that they are by making access and authentication seamless, whether employees are working in the office or remotely. Visit lastpass.com/twit to learn more.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of Smart Tech Today is brought to you by ArmorLock. Take control of your data privacy with G Technology's ArmorLock NVMe SSD, that's solid-state drive. Never again compromise speed for security. Go to getarmorlock.com to learn more and get yours today. And by Command Line Heroes, a podcast that tells the epic true tales of developers, programmers, hackers, geeks, and open source rebels who are revolutionizing the technology landscape. Search for Command Line Heroes anywhere you listen to podcasts. And by Expressvpn. Expressvpn is the world's #1 rated VPN by CNET, Wired, and The Verge. For 3 extra months free with a 1-year package, go to expressvpn.com/STT. Welcome to Smart Tech Today, where we explain the exciting, the dynamic, and the, well, sometimes confusing subject that is the Internet of Things. I am Mikah Sargent.
And I am Matthew Casanelli. Hello, Mikah. How are you this
Hello.
fine Monday?
I am fine on this fine Monday, November 30th, one day before we hit the last month of the year and start doing the count up to a whole new year and a whole new world and a whole new
magical place for you and me.
Yes, all of those things. But the year is not over yet. And, excuse me, we are starting with a little bit of follow-up about Google Home's new scheduling feature. CNET's Dale Smith has put together an article about the feature that we talked about last time, where you could sort of say, hey, pal, turn on the lights in 30 minutes. Or, hey, pal, I'm trying to think of run the space heater later today, or run the space heater tonight, and then it will do those things for you.
Not that last one, actually. That's the
that's the boo-boo?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I wanted to follow up on this, just because I was testing it out, and it's an interesting, like, I was using it to turn off the lights after I was leaving the room when I knew that I was going to be, and then I had it turn on these lights for the show. So I've got the new Lenovo clock thing that has Google Assistant involved, and was using that to schedule some things. But down at the bottom of the CNET article, he was talking about how Google won't actually let you do something that's configured as a heater, probably for good reason, because I've been thinking about this as well. It's basically a fire hazard. Is if you have a heater turned on in a room that you're not in, and at some other scheduled time, something could get dropped in front of it, and people just might not notice. Ironically, the CNET article tells you how to get around that, which I don't personally recommend, but you can basically set it to be a light instead of a heater, and then it will work. But I'd say safety first with that, because I've been using space heaters, and that's definitely like our major concern is leaving it on. I'm going to use my Eve Energy, I think, to track the power output and then turn it off, but not actually activate the device, because that is pretty dangerous. So just worth noting, if you are going to try to schedule something like this, it won't work with the heaters. So
yeah, that's reasonable.
Probably smart.
Yeah, they don't want to be responsible for it, but yes, certainly there are ways to get around that what some would call nannying, what others would call legal obligation, and what others still would call very responsible choices on the part of the developer. But I have a feeling it's definitely that second one that plays a bigger role in that. Now, of course, Thanksgiving was kind of the start of things here in the U.S. for these fall and winter holidays where folks typically get together and typically plan for meals and things like that. But there's still several end of year celebrations that take place, including Christmas, where you may want to help yourself and help your family get organized. And the Google Assistant wants to help you do that. So have you used this feature? Did you use this feature for Thanksgiving? Tell me more.
I did not, but I thought it was interesting because it was just the way Google rolled out the new Family Notes aspect for the Nest Hub and Nest Hub Max. So their angle was that you should leave a note that says, make sure to defrost the pie, and it'll show up on the main display for your Google Home. But I just thought this was a cool feature. Even though we missed it, it's still going to be relevant beyond Thanksgiving. Like, I just left my girlfriend a note that says, I love you downstairs. And as I was walking upstairs, I told her about it, but then went upstairs and I heard her say from the other room, she's like, oh, I love you too, which was nice. So I thought it's kind of a nice digital sticky note sort of thing that maybe you wouldn't go like stick up on the fridge or something like that, but can kind of be a nice way to communicate with the whole family. And it's like, here's a general reminder for anyone, maybe not necessarily a timely thing, but just kind of, you just say, leave a family notes, and then it's like, what do you want to say? And it'll pop up on all the displays.
Yeah, so that's what I was, the command is, hey, friend, leave a family note that says, defrost the pie is the example that they give, but you could give any answer or any idea. And there are some other features. Yeah.
If you have,
go ahead.
If you have Life 360, which is a tool for basically keeping track of your whole family, you can see on the display where your family is and things like that. So that's a nice integration. Seems like they're really leaning into the family aspects, especially during lockdown type of situations. But they've also improved the family bell. So there's just new sound effects, and then you can do things like homework, chores, or family get-togethers. So I might do the chore thing myself because sometimes I'm not the best at remembering it and things like that. So just, I think having it up on a display is like always what I want. Something about my brain is just like, if it's visible, I'll see it and I'll do it. And that makes a huge difference. So having those kind of like simple reminders, I think is a good idea. Maybe obviously not this year, but in the past, my family has done like football out on the street during Thanksgiving and stuff like that. So that would be a good one to throw up there. It's like, hey, don't forget we should do this afternoon. And then also just some basic stuff, like if you have Google's phone service, they have data plan limits and things like that for each individual family member, which is nice. I actually just blew through my data plan in like 30 minutes, I think, because I accidentally turned my phone off of Wi-Fi and then proceeded to download podcasts. So I was just like, didn't even think about it. I think it was just off of Wi-Fi, and I happened to go into the podcast app and was like, oh, why aren't these downloaded? And then it was like, by the way, you've used like 2 gigs in the last hour. And it was like, great. So I could have used something like that.
Yeah, that really stinks. Oh, all right. Yeah. I again, these the thing that I love about this is that it's just a reminder that these are actively thought about, that these devices are actively thought about, that we get these new features all the time, that people are thinking about how they're actually being used, and that it's not just, oh, have a smart speaker in your house that controls your smart home stuff. It's like, we know that people have these in these specific situations, and we know that they will want to make use of them. So let's come up with some new and helpful ideas for it. And I think that this is one of those that's really, it just becomes clear that they're being very thoughtful about how these devices work.
And they're like Google's ecosystem is getting a lot stronger, it seems like. I think it's always kind of been there, but they've rebranded and shifted so many services in and out that it's never felt like a really holistic vision. But it seems like in 2020, they've been laying the groundwork for that a lot more, especially if you have Android devices, use Google Maps. I think the cross-platformness of it is going to be interesting, just like that. I guess if you can get the Life 360 app instead of having to have an Android phone. So I think that's kind of their angle there, but it's definitely interesting. It's good quality of life stuff.
Absolutely. There's a new Google Maps update that aims to help you cope with the pandemic. You have more access to maps, a COVID overlay that's been updated so that you can kind of be aware of where things are more or less intense. And so the case is detected in an area, which I guess there's something about that that's a little troublesome to me in the sense that it's sort of like, oh, if I know that this specific state isn't very COVID-y, then I can go to that state and everything will be fine. Not really a great idea, but what are some of the other features outside of that, the updates to the COVID map?
Some of it is like the food tracking parts, and a lot of these are kind of expansions on what they've been doing this whole year. Like they mentioned at the bottom that they've added 250 new features since the pandemic began. So I think it's just kind of smart to check in and understand what has changed because it slowly rolls out over time. Like I know the food tracking is a big one where it's like your food's on the way, ready to be picked up, or more real-time crowdsourcing for just how crowded a train is or something like that. Like public transit is going to be a big difference there, so you can actually check. I don't know how many people are like going into Google Maps to look at the statewide data and then decide like, oh, I'll go there or something. Like it does seem like an interesting just information. Like obviously you need a map to show this, so why not put it in Google Maps? But it's kind of fascinating. It's just like, is anyone zooming out to check the U.S. map for where people have COVID and things? I don't totally know, but it could be informative. I'm not sure. I don't like it encouraging you to make more travel decisions based off of like, let's go to places where they don't have it and bring it with us or something. Like that's always bad. So we'll see. But I think it's worth mentioning because, I mean, for many people, maybe you didn't open Google Maps once this entire year because you didn't go anywhere. So understanding how it's changed is always interesting.
Yep. Fitbit has added Google Assistant support to the Sense and Versa 3 smartwatches. So these devices will work with the Google Assistant, and that means, you think of it in the same way that you communicate with an Apple Watch to talk to Siri. You can communicate with the Google Assistant via the watch. But interestingly, as The Verge points out, both of these smartwatches already previously supported Amazon's Alexa. So this basically means that you've got two options here, which is kind of nice. The ability to choose between Alexa and the Google Assistant as your voice assistant of choice for your wearable. So the only one missing is Siri on this platform and technically Cortana, but no one's.
Well, she's like officially dead, so no more there. But I do think it is just interesting because otherwise, you'd have to buy a smartwatch for the specific assistant on it. And so Fitbit getting both does make sense. I think it is worth noting that Fitbit is being acquired by Google still in the whole ongoing process sort of situation. So who knows if this will be true for the long-term future, that you'll be able to use Alexa on all the Fitbits, but it is still the other main smartwatch compared to Apple Watch. And so it's good to just see that amount of choice if people don't want to go Garmin or get the specific assistant type devices, you can kind of get this and choose. Yep. Choice is always good.
All right, let us take a quick break here because I'm excited to tell you about a very neat product for your computer, for your all sorts of storage needs, and that is Armor Lock. The privacy of your data is constantly being threatened. We know this. Imagine if your valuable media files or important documents were stolen and got into the wrong hands. People want to know that their content is safe now more than ever. G Technology gives you professional-grade storage solutions that empower studios, professional photographers, videographers, and editors to thrive in high-pressure, creative environments. G Technology's Armor Lock encrypted NVMe SSD, that's solid-state drive, and app deliver high-grade data security with pro-grade performance that is super simple for anyone to use. It's easy to unlock with your phone. It uses modern-day digital experiences. It's just like digital door locks or car keys or digital hotel keys. With Armor Lock, your phone is your key. You won't need to remember passwords or worry about downloading software that slows you down. You just open the Armor Lock app on your phone or your Mac, you tap the button to unlock, and bada bing, bada boom, you are ready to go. Armor Lock's SSD is built to withstand the rigors of travel, being shipped, or accidentally dropped. It's ultra super rugged for max durability and reliability. It's IP67 dust and water resistant. Best of all, this SSD is equipped with high-grade 256-bit AES XTS hardware encryption, so you know your data has the best protection out there. Armor Lock leverages the biometric authentication that you've already set up in your phone, Face ID, Touch ID, fingerprint, all that kind of stuff, making unlocking the drive a frictionless experience. You no longer have to compromise speed for security. Armor Lock gives you both simultaneously, ensuring you get the high-grade security you deserve with the pro-grade speeds your workflow demands. Collaboration is key when working on productions or team projects, so Armor Lock lets you control who gets access to the drive, even if they're in a different location. You can easily authorize remote users prior to shipping the drive, and once it arrives, it's ready to unlock and use, ready to go. Because they manufacture their own flash technology and SSDs, you can be confident their products are built from the ground up with specifically selected elements to create the best, most consistent product experience. And they recently won the Consumer Innovation Award at the Flash Memory Summit. The last thing you need is leaked films and lost or stolen drives. Take control of your data privacy with G Technology's Armor Lock NVMe SSD, that's solid-state drive. Go to getarmorlock.com to learn more and get yours today. That's getarmorlock.com. Thanks so much to Armor Lock for sponsoring this week's episode of Smart Tech Today. All righty, up next, finally, after such a long period of time of going to the Philips Hue app, going to the Updates tab, waiting for the updates to load, and then seeing it tell me that there were no updates available for my Philips Hue hub, I happened to, one night, open up the Home app on my iPhone and proceeded to see a new prompt for adaptive lighting. And so even though I had been so, careful, cautious, or not careful and cautious, but careful and watchful every single day, checking to see when the hub was going to get updated, or the bridge rather was going to get updated, it never did. But then the moment I just left it alone, that's whenever it finally did update to the new firmware. So I guess that just means a watched bridge never updates. But I'm happy to say that adaptive lighting has come to my Philips Hue setup here in my home. And I don't know about you, Matthew, but the adaptive lighting was a little bit different than what I thought it was originally. So when I first had heard about adaptive lighting and read about it, I misunderstood, I think, what it actually was, because I was under the impression that it was a way to sort of set lights to turn on in the morning and be bright, sort of white, close to the sunlight color. And then over the course of the day, the lights would drop and dim, but also turn more orange. And that it was kind of like you turn it on and you let it do its thing throughout the day. So like sort of scheduled in a way where the light comes on and it stays on and then it goes off at night. And I was a little bothered by that because maybe I don't want to have lights turn on automatically. And so when I set it up and realized that it was different from what I expected, I was actually quite happy with it because instead of doing that thing that I just described, essentially what it does is it looks at the time of day, and if it's earlier in the day, then it works with bluer colors. So your 5,000 K color temperature and up. And then at night, it works with warmer colors. So your 2,400 K and below. And so knowing what time of day it is and using those color temperature ranges, as you make the light, as you take and drag the light to more bright, or you take and drag the light to dimmer, it goes from a cooler, brighter light at the highest end, 100% brightness, to a warmer, darker light at the lower end, 20% brightness. And so at the beginning of the day, it might go from 7,000 K at the brightest to 4,500 K whenever you dim it. But then at night, it would go from 4,000 K to 2,400 K or somewhere in between. So I really think that this was a lot smarter. Like, I got to give the developers at Apple who've come up with this adaptive lighting thing, in cahoots with the different smart home lighting manufacturers, kudos, because this is a lot smarter a system than I originally thought it was, and I quite like it.
So I think your impression was that it involved the scheduling and keeping the light on consistently for you, versus it's really like a color profile for the light that also adapts as you adjust it up and down. Oh, that is finally responding.
A beautiful summary.
Because that's what I can actually tell, first of all, I changed the lighting to reflect that, and it looks better in our video feed than what I had otherwise, which is kind of fascinating. Because I have a big light here that's color daylight balanced, that's the 5,500, right? Or it's more like 4,500, I think is what it is. And so now that the light is properly matching that, the color profile of my webcam looks really good compared to normal, which is actually that's awesome. Wow. First of all, I think the part though where it's as it gets dimmer, it gets more yellow is a understated part of it, because it's basically like when it's the brightest, you want to be able to see it's going to be hitting you, versus when it's dimmer, nobody likes a dim white light, I think is what it is. When you put those LEDs, when they first put LEDs outside and stuff, it would blind everybody. And when it's dim, you just want the glow of a lamp, you're obviously not trying to see something that you need white light for. So it is really smart. I think it's fascinating too, because I didn't realize as soon as we started talking about this, I was like, oh, I have to update my scenes to have the color just match, be the adaptive lighting option that's in the app. So it basically means that anytime you also turn on the lights, it will just pick, okay, it's early, very early in the morning. It still is warm because nobody wants to, you might want it, Mikah, to wake you up, but nobody immediately wants to be blasted with fully bright white light. It is, if you turn that on your bedside table, you'd be like, what is going on? Right. So it's intelligent. It's basically matching how the light of the sun would hit you throughout the day. So this is pretty cool. I'm even just fascinated that my webcam literally looks way better now. I struggle to, in the home scenes, pick a color temperature in the app, because it kind of gives you this circular option that's a little weird. So just having it pick the color temperature for me every single time is basically what this feature does, and depending on the intensity of it. So it's pretty cool. I need to set up, I have a Hue light strip. It doesn't work with my Life X1. I also am thinking about moving I have the 2 play bars on the back of my TV, and I'm thinking of putting one horizontally on the back of the TV and then one horizontally on the back of this monitor to have even more light in here. So that would be cool if my main lights for work were all with the adaptive lighting, because then I just don't need to think about it unless I'm filming a video. That's the one thing that would bite me, is if the color temperature is just automatically off from what my other lights are. But I think the majority of the time during the day, it does actually match. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's a cool feature.
I'm super happy with it. Somfy has added, or will be adding, HomeKit support to its motorized shades. I don't know why the H is uppercase in the. Anyway, Tahoma motorized shades will be getting HomeKit support as of December 1st. So that's 13 different motorized shades and screens that Somfy, their Tahoma line, has. And so, yeah, I think if you don't currently have the HomeKit support with those and you've been looking for it, you'll be very happy to hear this. I have yet to delve into the world of motorized shades. It remains a to-do list item, but it's just an expensive to-do list item, and that's why I have not yet. And there are some more options out there these days that are far more cost-effective, but regardless, you still end up spending quite a bit of money if you want to motorize or if you want to make your shades smart.
Mm-hmm. And this is, I think this was one of those European brands that is not always as obvious to us in the States, and they've got like tons of integrations. I think their gateway supports over 200 different accessories with Amazon and Google Assistant. So definitely good to see it expand out in the outside of the US as well. I'm not totally sure if these will be coming to the US, but it is like tomorrow if you're listening to this live or on the day we release it. So always good to see HomeKit shades expanding beyond just IKEA. And then what are the really expensive ones? I was going to say Lutron, but I don't think that's...
yeah, it's the Lutron line, but they've got a different name for the exact model, but yeah, they're made by Lutron. And then a very interesting mount for your Apple Watch and iPhone, so that you can use your Apple Watch as a viewfinder for your iPhone. You know, this is interesting. That
it's a nice word.
Say anything you want, but this is an interesting thing for sure. It's strange, and I think that I want to say that the advent of 3D printing makes for some very strange solutions that people would normally maybe not explore, but have decided are good enough to pay attention to. And this feels like it came out of sort of a fever dream project. They're like, you know what? This is good enough. I'm going to sell it to people. Because, you know, as you point out, you could just keep it on your wrist and use the viewfinder. But
yeah,
interesting.
That's definitely. I mean, I will say it's only $20. So if this was $50, I'd say it's a total scam. But it's funny. It's like all those little phone mounts that you get that expand and let your phone sit on top of a tripod or a Joby Pod type of situation. They're usually pretty janky, and so at least this one has like something else unique to it. So you literally pop off your watch entirely, open the camera app, and then it acts as the viewfinder for the camera. And I think the main reason I mentioned this was because I actually used this technique on my wrist, not with any mount or anything, but at CES, I was trying to film the selfie angle of a video, and I held the phone up with my left hand and had the watch on the inside of my wrist and just turned it around, and I could just see my face was framed up in the shot on the watch. So if you want a product for it, there is something out there. Always worth throwing Apple Watch users a bone for accessories, because there's some weird stuff, but also just worth knowing if you, first of all, try that camera app, because it is great. I feel like most people don't actually use it. But then if you do want to use it for a selfie type situation, just flip it around on the inside of your wrist and you're good to go.
Yep. Not
stocking
it doesn't have
stuffer,
to be super
maybe?
hard.
I don't know.
Yeah, perhaps, mayhaps for the influencer in your life.
The influencer in all of us.
Yeah, there you go. The influencer in all of us. Hashtag subscribe. I don't know. This is a good tip that you have brought back up, because it's certainly been an issue in the past. And honestly, I forgot how to undo this change when I made it. And so to this day, it still sort of haunts me. So I was glad to see you include it in our show today, which is, if you've got ALEXA devices, then you may have set them up with delivery updates, and they may be letting all of your family who lives with you know that their presents are on the way or are being delivered. And that is not fun. So luckily, there is a way to stop Amazon from doing delivery announcements. How does one do this?
Yes. In the ALEXA app, you go into the notifications. Okay, settings, notifications, Amazon shopping, and then say, let the lady say or show titles for items you ordered. And then there's a little box for items in delivery updates. So you want to untick that if you want her not to say anything. And then if you do want it, you can turn it back on in a month or two. So definitely good to do. Nobody likes to get their Christmas presents spoiled or spoil it for somebody else that they're getting something for.
In wearable news, it's not just Apple Watches and other smart watches that can track your fitness when you're working on your fitness. There are some earbuds that can do that as well.
Yeah, the Echo Buds have now updated to get this workout type feature, and they'll log steps, calories, distance, pace, and duration of runs. So this is fascinating, because I don't remember how much they announced this originally, but it's just kind of weird. That's like, oh, now my headphones can track my workouts. So
yeah, they really didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't talk much about this kind of feature at the beginning. Of course, it had, built-in sensors, and they talked about those, but it was for the sake of making sure that the headphones would start whenever you put them in your ears and stuff like that. So with this additional feature, I think this is a really cool idea. Excuse me. So you can say, ALEXA, start my run, pause my walk, end my workout. How far have I run? What's my pace? How was my workout? And it will pull up your, your running stats for that one in particular. But depending on what you ask, it will answer those questions for you. I think this is a really cool idea that I'd love to see other companies use, because many of the modern, truly wireless earbud systems have a lot of sensors built into them. So it would be cool to see, just even if it's just for the sake of cross-checking, your Apple Watch or your wrist wearable does most of the work, but then it compares that to what your hearables are also reporting, and then uses that to kind of make sure the data is accurate. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that'd be a good test, is go on a run with both of them and compare the results. I think this is the same thing. I was actually, because I was looking at my Nest Hub for the Family Note thing, it was reminding me about the sonic detection feature that they added to that. And I think it does just we'll get to this later too, but just Amazon being like, just so you know, that product that we already sold you also can track you now, is just falls into that realm where you're like, guys, you got to just say that this could be a thing in the future. I mean, it seems it's like, I mean, I'll say I do a smart tech show, so I take it for granted that eventually some of these products could be getting more smart features. But I do think it's like just that, oh, now your headphones can track you, is like they got to market these products saying that these could be adding potentially intrusive tracking features. It's not doing it automatically or anything like that. So I guess it's still just in that realm where it's kind of like, it's weird to find out that something that you bought has a feature that you didn't know it did. And that went for all of those microphones with the Nest and Nest Hub too. So I think it's like, this is another one that falls into that bucket to me.
Yeah, and depending on how much good steward the company has been in the past also plays a role in that. Mm-hmm. So you can only get away with that so many times before it starts to feel malicious. Speaking of malicious...
yeah.
Although this was a feature that was announced, to be fair. So Amazon at its hardware event announced a new protocol called Amazon Sidewalk. And what Amazon Sidewalk was, created to do was help to provide signal and internet to all sorts of devices, no matter where they are. Meaning that even though your home inside is blanketed with Wi-Fi and has plenty of Wi-Fi, you might have, for example, a mailbox sensor that lets you know when the mail has arrived for the day. And in years past, those have been made with Bluetooth LE and would have notorious issues with connecting, or you would have to pay for a cellular plan. Usually it's less expensive, but still a cellular plan to have it connect over cellular to give you those notifications. Amazon is trying to solve this with its Amazon Sidewalk protocol, which basically gives up a little bit of your Wi-Fi connection to neighboring devices, meaning that anyone who has a Sidewalk-enabled device is using your internet, small amounts of it, but still your internet to have that connection. And all of us who have one of these new devices that have Amazon Sidewalk built in got a notification letting us know that we would need to go in and opt out of Amazon Sidewalk. So you have to go in and make that change. Now, Amazon has a list of devices that support Amazon Sidewalk that serve as essentially Amazon Sidewalk bridges. And their page has a whole bunch of information about how it works, like the white paper on Sidewalk. And these are the Sidewalk bridges, meaning that these devices provide connections to Amazon Sidewalk. So I'm going to read some of them. Many Echo devices and select Ring floodlight and spotlight cams. So there's the Ring floodlight cam, the Ring spotlight cam, the second generation Echo, the third generation Echo, the fourth generation Echo, Echo Dots all the way back to the second generation, Echo Dot with clock, Echo Plus from the first gen on, Echo Show from the first gen on, and the Echo Studio. So basically, most of Amazon's Echo devices will work with Sidewalk. It asks you may be wondering what devices can actually connect. It's devices that Amazon has authorized to work with Sidewalk, but there are a number of devices that are going to be able to use it, and you need to go in and disable it. So it's, again, sort of that conversation we've had about being a good steward. I think that becomes a bit of a concern when you see the company kind of maybe not being such a good steward. Yeah, Matthew.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things that they should have done as an opt-in situation. And I mean, from a product perspective, yeah, opt-in means that most people aren't going to use it, and that's not going to be as effective. And yeah, that probably should be the case when you're Amazon and you're creating a home surveillance network kind of thing for people, but also for the benefit of Amazon. I think the particular article that I referenced was from Gizmodo, who does not shy away from saying you need to opt out of Amazon Sidewalk. And they list all of the articles where Gizmodo was able to map Amazon's Rings devices across the network, or like hackers breaking in, or Amazon not stating that people are listening to these recordings and things like that. So they're clearly like, you should go in and turn this off. But I think it's just a good reminder of opting into I was going to say opting in, but that's a little bit of a loaded term here. Buying these products does end up
being a default opt-in.
Yeah, you are opting into this network. And so it's just worth understanding, particularly with Amazon, particularly since it's been so embedded in people's lives. Like even the way they kind of announced this last year and then again this year, I don't think anybody knows about this. And now it's on by default for everybody. So that's pretty sketchy and puts another like dark mark on Amazon's practices here. So I think that's
we're going to go together.
Noting. Yeah.
And do this. So we've launched the ALEXA app on our device. We go down to the More button. We choose Settings. We choose Account Settings. We choose Amazon Sidewalk. Lo and behold, the check mark is turned on. So then we tap that to toggle it off. And now Amazon Sidewalk is not turned on. Coming soon, but not to me, Amazon Sidewalk. So that's how you go and turn that feature off if you don't want it turned on. I would be interested. I want to talk to Stacey Higginbotham, who of course does the very good Internet of Things podcast, about the pros as she sees them of Amazon Sidewalk and the cons that she sees as she sees them of Amazon Sidewalk, and whether she will be having them on for her devices. And, talking to anybody else who does decide to have them turned on, because, there are some folks who don't feel uncomfortable about it. And I would like to hear sort of what their take is, and sort of it's one of those me sitting at a table with the change my mind signs in front, except I'm actually being open about it. If I was convinced, I would, turn it on if I saw the benefit of it. So
yeah, exactly. I think it just is like, this is great for everyone, but not good for anyone in particular. And I guess it's like you need huge properties with something right on the edge. I just don't see how there's that much demand or need for it, while it seems like we're potentially giving up a lot. And it's just like an Amazon nation state. I don't know. It's just like it starts to get weird. And I think this should be like a large public discussion of whether we should do these things. These are like ethics questions for a philosophy class that are just playing out in real time with products you can buy, and not like, is this a good idea in the first place? So maybe turn it off.
Maybe. All right, let's take a quick break so I can tell you about the very cool, very awesome Command Line Heroes. What is Command Line Heroes? Well, it's a podcast. You like podcasts. You're listening to one right now, so you should check out this podcast. It's very cool. It's a podcast that shares with you the epic true tales of developers, programmers, hackers, geeks, and open source rebels who have and still are revolutionizing the technology landscape. I got to tell you, I've gotten more messages about command line heroes from listeners of the shows than I have about any other sponsor, I think, that we've ever had. Lots of people, get the different products that we talk about and they're very happy with them, but people have, genuinely reached out with excitement while listening to Command Line Heroes. And I think that's a statement to the storytelling of these incredible episodes that tell these true tales about all of these awesome people. Season 6, it's already on season 6, so it's very bingeable right now. It's available now, and this season, Command Line Heroes tells you all about the stories of Black technologists who innovated and invented despite systemic racism, unfair hiring practices, and of course, unequal education opportunities. My favorite episode was the one all about Gladys West, whose mathematical models and data analysis paved the way for GPS. Yes, Dr. Gladys West, who was tasked with, having to map the world, which, except for the flat earthers out there, we all know that the earth is round, and that plays a role in figuring out how GPS can work. And from a person who has absolutely no sense of spatial direction, I am so thankful to Dr. Gladys West, because I have to use GPS all the time, everywhere, and cannot get around without it. So incredible story. Another episode tells the story of Jerry Lawson, who invented the first cartridge-based video game console, paving the way for Atari, for Nintendo, and Sega. And of course, the story of Mark Dean, who was raised in the Jim Crow South and grew up to revolutionize the PC industry with the ISA bus. Command Line Heroes is hosted by developer and podcaster Saran Yitbarek, and it's available right now. Check out all of the incredible stories from Season 6 today. Search for Command Line Heroes anywhere you listen to podcasts. That's Command Line Heroes. Download it today. Our thanks to Command Line Heroes for sponsoring this week's episode of Smart Tech Today. All right, Matthew, you've got an exciting project for us this week that's going to save you lots of money, lots of stress. Also, it seems add a little bit of fun to his office. He is holding his phone up to the screen right now where a live view of him in his office is being played. What's happening there, Matthew?
I have a new set of Wyze Cam V3s. So these are Wyze $20 security cameras that work indoor and outdoor, with a little asterisk over the outdoor, I found out. But it's a super cheap security camera system. These are available for pre-order right now, but I think I backed it early. I was kind of like, why do I have this already if it's not out yet? But it's shipping in January. But these are pretty interesting security cameras because it seems... I've always been really interested, but I didn't really want to spend $300 on an entire setup because I am not living in this space permanently, so I wasn't really sure if an investment would make sense. And it's just kind of a lot of money for what seems like stuff that should be cheaper. I'm not exactly sure why, but it is. Like, we have cameras all around nowadays. It seems like some of these should be a little bit easier. And Wyze has been really pushing the prices down on the hardware products. I think that ends up leading back to their online subscription for storing the information and providing some of the artificial intelligence stuff for this camera. But I really just wanted to see, like, what is it even like to have a security camera? Because the second I turned it on, I was like, ooh, creepy, like, but in a cool way where it's just like, I make videos, we record video all the time, but I've never had a camera really set up in the house that's supposed to be on. So one of the first things that I like about it is that I can turn it off. I can turn it on and off remotely from the app, just so it's not, I don't need a camera running all the time. I mostly want it for days that I'm going to get deliveries, or I can think of some other specific situations, but that's kind of what I've been trying to figure out is, where should I even use these? Because I did just get 3 just because I wanted that option. And I think the main place that I'm going to be using one is in the backyard. I have a light strip, or I have a Maras outdoor plug that we have hanging lights in the backyard, and we actually just plugged in Christmas lights instead, which is nice. So I've got those automated with whenever my door opens and closes. But I mean, one major thing is that it needs a power outlet. And so it's going to be going near the power outlet, but it kind of faces our backyard and the back door. We have a very small strip of backyard, so it's like practically nothing. But I mostly just want to turn it on when I know that deliveries are going to come, because a lot of times the delivery people like to even just throw it over the little gate that's not actually in our backyard. And so we wouldn't even be able to see it unless we actually go into the back and around the corner. So this will kind of be sitting at the perfect diagonal angle to get both the door and the walkway. But I mean, just some of the features, I'll just list them off the package here, but it's IP65 weather resistant, got two-way audio. I don't know if I'll be using that outdoors. 24/7 recording if you have a SD card in, or free cloud storage for 12 seconds, motion and sound detection, person detection, full length motion recording like time lapses, and color night vision. So it's pretty for $20. Like,
right, for
this is wild.
That's the big thing.
And it looks great. Like I at first stuck it in my closet. I can see right now, like it does look. I mean, it does help that I have studio lighting, I guess, but it's very colorful. It's got a super wide angle, so that's worth noting if you are going to, the version 2 had a battery, right? I think that's the one thing that I'm slightly disappointed in, is that I want to use this unplugged, and maybe they'll come out with an accessory. I think that's going to be the big thing of the price, is that they sell a spotlight kit add-on. The outdoor adapter is an add-on that isn't yet available. So that's why it's like, maybe I shouldn't put this outside unless I cover it. The plug itself has the plastic so that it doesn't, it wouldn't get any water in it, but not the outlet side of it. Although I do think we have one that's covered, so it could be okay. It's also $20, so I'm kind of not too worried if, I don't know, I tried it and it didn't work.
Yeah, if something does end up breaking, you haven't just ruined a $150 camera. Exactly.
Yeah. And then it's like the little base plate and the angles that it can move to are nice. You can remove the base plate, and I've got it on a thread for my tripod adapter. So that's how it's mounted next to me right now. And they've even got a little magnetic thing. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I'm trying to figure out how to put one in the front, but it is like, I don't have the outdoor cable. I'm going to have a cable going up somewhere. And so I might have to get like full cable runners and stuff, and maybe even paint it so it matches the house. Otherwise I think it's going to look pretty bad. And then I have a third one, and I was trying to figure out how I could use it. And the only thing practical that I could think of was tracking when our cat used the litter, because it's just smart to know, generally have a awareness of your animal's behavior, because then if it changes, you can notice that.
Right.
We've been feeding him different food lately, and so he's been kind of a butt about it. It's like he loves the 2-to-1 and then now just won't eat it at all. And so it's like it did change his diet and things like that. So I don't actually know. I mean, it's kind of silly, but just knowing how often your cat goes to the bathroom is like, when do you need to change the litter and things like that. So it's also thankfully in a little closet in the space that it's in. So I can have the camera and know with the motion detection that he went in there, but I'm not literally recording my cat going to the bathroom. So he gets his privacy too.
Good. So. You're respectful of the cat's privacy. Outside, I use my Wyze Cam outdoor pretty much every day. It is the chargeable option basically to counter your Wyze Cam V3. And so every once in a while you have to bring it in and charge it, but it lasts quite a while and I use it all the time. It gives me notifications when it, detects a person, and when I'm getting groceries delivered or anything like that, basically anything that doesn't get delivered directly to my garage now, I use that Wyze Cam Outdoor for that. The Wyze Cam Outdoor, the starter bundle, which includes the hub or the bridge, is $49.99. So you get the outdoor camera that is rechargeable, and you get the actual bridge itself. Both accept SD cards, and they will, store the video files locally. So there is a wire-free option if you want it. Yeah. For a little bit more money. But the fact that for $20, you get an inexpensive camera that is, available, or that you can sort of put anywhere you want, is quite nice.
Yeah, I think that's the big part of it for us, is because we're planning on moving sometime in the next few years, just not having to have a sort of permanent setup. And I think the charging part would kind of be a pain, but also it's kind of like, it's all a trade-off. If I do
exactly,
like getting another cable and doing the whole wire thing, it's like, did I just spend the money on that too? But I think the versatility is good. And I was even thinking they have all those like Echo setups where you plug it into a battery brick or something like that. So I wonder if you could kind of have a little lipstick charger with it and just actually make it wireless yourself. So
yeah, sure. That's actually, you might have to experiment with that.
It also does have audio, which is interesting. So you can kind of use it as a doorbell type situation. And then it definitely has a siren. I tested that and it works. So
is it loud?
Yes, it is.
Oh, wow.
I did it like 20 minutes ago, and I was like, sorry to my girlfriend because it's just blaring inside the house.
Oh,
but it seems like I'm pretty satisfied. I think, obviously, I would want HomeKit support, but I don't think anything is sold for $20 that has HomeKit support. So that's just not realistic. And it's kind of like I can get the benefit. I do live a multi-assistant lifestyle, and so I can ask my Google thing to sure. I got to test that more, because it does have, you can only pull up the video feed on this Nest Hub or Nest Hub Max. Like in the Assistant app, it won't do anything. And it doesn't even say like, open the Wyze app to check the feed, which I thought is pretty interesting. So that is weird. It's like I can schedule it, but I can't actually interact with it that much. But I think, and then in the Echo app, I tried to set up, you can announce when people are detected. And when I turned it on, it just turned itself back off right away. So I have no idea why that's not working. So.
That said, no thanks.
It's like one of those little boxes where you open it and then the finger comes out and pushes the switch to close it again. It's just like, no, sorry, you're not going to do that.
That's hilarious and also annoying. Oh my gosh, that was, wow. Nice for those listening, Kevin just did a transition where a finger came up onto the screen and swiped over from Matthew to me, and now it's going from me to Matthew. Yeah. So what is the downside of buying a $20 smart cam?
I mean, I think the main thing that we were just talking about is the wireless nature of it. Is that definitely won't work. I think it's not going to have the best connectivity. Like I noticed when I had it on, I should probably actually turn it off. Initially, it was just causing a tiny bit of interference during this call. I will say it's like three inches away from where I am, so that might be part of it. A lot of it does just come down to like the quality of the video, or the service is maybe cheaper for other stuff. But Cam Plus is generally pretty good. I think I'm just like not sure exactly how it'll fit into my routines. I think it's sort of, if you can have an always on camera that has the HomeKit support and things like that, I think it's kind of like I just wouldn't have to think about it, but now I do a little bit more. So I think that's going to be interesting. And I'm not really sure, I don't have any sort of habits for like checking on the footage or anything like that. It's definitely like a little bit more of an experiment, but I think the packages thing is going to be where it's going to come into most handy. Like I can already think of the Google Assistant app has a shortcut that allows you to send Google commands. So maybe I will set up a series of shortcuts where it's like, check my deliveries for the day, and if there is a delivery, then tell Google to turn it on, kind of situation.
Oh, yeah.
There's some clever stuff there. I don't know if the right.
Yeah, that's pretty smart. I like that. Yeah, write that one down.
Yeah. I think I also want to do some time lapses, I think, for some of my videos, just having a second camera, I think, in my office that I can just kind of record that then and not have to go set it up every single time. That's a huge thing for me. Is it's like you can just go set it up, but anything that's already set up is going to be way better. And it's like I could mount it up on the wall and kind of thing. So maybe I'll do that for my office tour. Get one Wyze Cam on either side and my iPhone or something like that. Just get full coverage. So
yeah, you practically make a 360-degree image at that point for VR.
This is a totally random thing too, but I've seen in the past, I have no idea if I'd actually do this, but people who turn on their webcams or like live stream into a Discord group or something to like keep yourself accountable. So it's like while you literally see that you're on camera and I'm like sitting there hunched over my phone, not doing work, and then being like, oh, maybe I should get back to work. So it's like a self-monitoring situation.
That sounds like my worst nightmare in all of life, to have people watching me.
Yeah, watching you, other people watching you. I agree, for especially work. I mean, I do live streams, so it's definitely in that realm. It's like
I was going to say, I just had the realization that I literally do that for a job. So I think what I mean is outside of that, when I'm not on camera, I really don't want to be on camera or anywhere near a camera.
I mean,
and like I give enough of myself in a given, and I'm not trying to sound, pompous or anything like that, but I give enough of myself in a given week to, this public display. And so when I turn off those cameras, I don't want them anywhere near me. But so you're saying that it's just for you to be in the room looking at yourself?
It's like not to like, I don't want to stream it to somewhere else that I can then watch. I just like, if I had my phone up, it's just kind of a self-awareness thing of like, what are you doing, spending your time on? I think it's definitely a personal productivity thing. It might also be from the fact that I am entirely self-motivated in my job, except for the show. Like I have to show up for this, but otherwise it's just completely up to me. And so
I see.
A lot of times just like understanding what you're actually doing is difficult because you're not a reliable narrator. And just
right.
I think especially that, just like looking over and seeing on the thing, especially I think posture is just like, I'm like hunched over, not doing my thing, and then being like, oh yeah, maybe I should get back to work. So keep an eye on yourself. Literally, I don't know. That's a creepy tagline.
Keep an eye on yourself. Watch yourself very closely. Anything else that you want to say about the new version 3 of the Wyze Cam?
It's got if this then that, so that's something that I'll need to explore too. And I am just curious if people have security cameras, how they're using them. Like this is a sort of, it feels like a world that you're just either entirely in or not at all. And so I'm new to this and I'd love to get tips from anybody. So send them to me on Twitter, Matt Casanelli, if you want to talk about it, just because, I don't know, let's get more conversations going with us, between us and the listeners. That's always fun too. So
do or do not security cam. All right. I don't know what I've just done, but we are going to take a quick break because I get to tell you about literally one of my favorite things that is on offer, and everybody should just have it and install it and use it. And that's Expressvpn. When you, this is I like this comparison. When you use the bathroom, you always close the door behind you, right? You don't want random passersby looking in on you. So why would you let people look in on you when you go online? We were just talking about that. Using the internet without Expressvpn is like going to the bathroom and not closing the door. Did you know that your internet service provider, could be Comcast, Verizon, AT&T, knows every website you're going to? And what's worse is that they can sell that information to ad companies and tech giants who will use that data to target you. ExpressVPN puts a stop to this. It creates a secure, encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet so that your online activity can't be seen by anyone. I use ExpressVPN on all of my devices, not only because I want to use it on all of my devices, but because it was so easy to use on all of my devices because the dadgum thing works on everything. Phones, laptops, even routers. So everyone who shares your Wi-Fi can still be protected even if they don't have ExpressVPN. They come to your house, they're like, "You're my hero, you're keeping me safe and protected online, it's so great." And the best part is, using ExpressVPN is as easy as closing the bathroom door, if not easier. You just fire up the app, you click one button, and boom, you are protected. ExpressVPN is the world's #1 rated VPN by CNET, Wired, The Verge, and by golly, by Mikah Sargent, and of course, countless others. So, if you're like me and believe your online activity is your business, secure yourself by visiting expressvpn.com/STT today. Use the exclusive link we have for you, expressvpn.com/STT, and that's going to get you an extra 3 months free. People, just go, just try this. If you're thinking about a VPN, you don't need to think about a VPN because ExpressVPN is the one that you want. There are so many out there that are taking your data and maybe using it in nefarious ways and selling it themselves. If you're going to be protected online, you want to make sure that it's by a company that genuinely cares about keeping your data private and secure, and that is ExpressVPN. No guesses, no question about it. It absolutely is. That's expressvpn.com/STT. Go there and you're going to get an extra 3 months free. Why wouldn't you? Seriously, expressvpn.com/STT. All righty. It is time for our picks of the week. I will do mine first, and that is based on me talking about a little while ago, the Amazon Key delivery, which is a way to have deliveries from Amazon made directly to your garage. So instead of having them delivered to your porch or having them taken by the United States Postal Service and held hostage until you go and pick them up, which is how I used to have to do it, the Amazon driver gets temporary access for the sole and explicit purpose of the package delivery to open your garage door, put your package inside, and then close the garage door afterward. Not only, there are lots of privacy and security features that are involved. The setup process is more involved because you say where in the garage you'd like your package delivered. You give a whole bunch of information on where exactly your home is and what it looks like and what the garage looks like. But it also has integrations with Amazon's different camera properties. And so it can automatically turn on a camera and start recording the moment that the package is set to be delivered. You get notifications saying like, hey, today, later today, a delivery driver will deliver your package. And then moments before it happens, it'll say, your delivery driver is almost there and will be delivering your package soon. You get notifications every step of the way. It keeps you very informed. It is, I have found to be one of the best choices that I've made in terms of I don't know, just integrations and smart stuff. But it was all made possible by the MyQ smart garage door opener. Amazon right now has a deal, $24.98, so $25 for the MyQ Smart Hub. The newest version, so there's a black one that's the older version and a white one, which is the newer version. And the white newer version is better because it also has Bluetooth built in. And so the setup process is a lot easier. But essentially what it does is it works a lot like your, if you move into a house and you have one garage door opener that's given to you by the previous owners or your landlord if you're renting a home, and you end up needing more, you buy an extra garage door opener, and then you program it with your garage door, and then you can open the garage. This is a lot like that. It works as if it is another garage door opener. So you do the normal programming process that you would if you were installing another garage door opener. And you also put a door sensor, they call it, you stick it onto the garage door. And it just has a sensor inside that can tell, okay, I am vertical or now I am horizontal, meaning that the garage door is closed or the garage door is open. So those two devices work together to understand when the garage door is open or closed. That main device that actually sends out the signal has some LEDs in it so that it serves as a light that will turn on whenever you open the garage. And it is connected to the internet. And so that is how you use the Hue app to open and close the garage door. But it is also then what you use with Amazon's key delivery service to be able to have packages delivered inside. So I think this is great just in general, because if you, like me, use your garage door as your main point of entry and not your front door, then by having this Hue Smart Garage Door Opener, you can grant temporary access to. I know that I keep using this as an example, and it doesn't really apply right now, but in the future, whenever we get together again, it's a great way to give guests access to your home without having to, give them an extra key or something like that. And then it's also, peace of mind. If you leave the house, did I remember to close the garage door? This will just tell you, yeah, I absolutely did close the garage door. And if you're wondering, pretty much any garage door opener made after, I believe it's 1992, if it has the laser sensors at the bottom of the garage door on either side, the safety sensors that send a beam of invisible light between the 2 points, so that if there's something in the way, then the garage door won't close and crush it. If you have one that has those sensors, then it's 97%, 98, 99% chance. It's a very good chance that this smart garage door opener will work with your garage door opener. So it's very nice, and it's only $25 right now. And I don't know if the deal is on right now, but certainly the last time I checked, you would do a delivery of groceries using Amazon's grocery delivery service, and they would give you a $30 Amazon credit. So basically, they'd pay you $5 to use this at the end of it. So yeah, if you've got a garage door and you want to add smarts to it, you don't need a new garage door opener. You don't need a bunch of new stuff. You just need this little thing, this $25 thing, and it adds Wi-Fi connectivity to your garage door.
Nice. That's so affordable too. I totally just texted my mom and was like, do we have one of these that I hope my dad doesn't listen. I don't know. I mean, I hope he does. Oh God. But those are great. I love the Amazon product page shows 3 business people standing outside a garage door. Like one of them has coffee. The other one's wearing a backpack, and it's just like, so this is the worst Photoshop. It's like, that's all.
Oh
like,
yeah. I see them now.
Get secure access in the bottom right. Yeah.
Is that? No, that's not Jeff Goldblum. From a distance, it looks like Jeff Goldblum. Like, what's he doing outside? Math?
Let him in.
All right. Tell me about your pick of the week.
So my pick of the week I'm playing with right now, and it is the Backbone controller for iPhone. It's a controller that goes around your phone, and it's basically a high quality gaming device that also kind of works as an app store / launch pad home screen thing. So in a lot of game consoles, if you're not familiar with it, most of them, their home access area has just like all the different games that you want to play and things like that. And so what Backbone does is it's a Lightning controller. So when it's plugged in, it now has basically a way for, they have a big orange button on the front that's their brand, and it will take you from anywhere right into the game selection menu. So it's kind of like an Xbox console.
It's like a big old PSP.
Yeah, exactly. But it lets you basically set up like, oh, I want to do Xbox Remote Play or PlayStation Remote Play or any of the USB supported apps. So it's pretty impressive. It's good. Is one of the biggest things is I have another one that's a little clip-on. I have another iPhone remote or controller, and they're just low quality. Like this feels like an Xbox controller, and that's one of the biggest things, especially if you are into games, is you just don't want to play with cheap hardware because it doesn't match what you're normally used to. It's got like a headphone jack, got USB-C charging on it because it does need a little bit of power, but I have no concept of when it'll need that because it's generally fine. But it seems really cool. There's a couple articles out about it that's just like, this is the future of mobile gaming, is this kind of thing for an iPhone specifically. These are just really good. They've got screenshot capabilities. I do think it was designed for Fortnite, and Fortnite is not on the App Store because they're having a little fight with Apple still. But it's got support for Call of Duty Mobile, which I guess has been pretty big because they made it also actually decently good instead of a bad mobile version. But there's a couple Apple Arcade games in there too that are pretty interesting. I need to test it more with Remote Play because I think my network is I have like a poor cable going upstairs, and so I don't know if my network is powerful enough up here to work the way that I want it to, just like super low latency, but it'll be interesting to see. Like I've seen Federico Vitici of Mac Stories was like, I'm playing Halo on my iPhone, and just some of that stuff is incredibly cool. So if you're trying to play games outside of having a dedicated television, or especially when during the pandemic, people are all using the same devices, you can get Remote Play on your phone or a good mobile gaming experience with this. And it's only $99. Like it feels like it should almost be like $200, but then I'd complain about how it's overpriced. So I'm really surprised that it seems like the right price in version 1 and not like 4 years later or something like that. So if you're into it, it's definitely worth checking out.
Sweet. All right, folks, that brings us to the end of another episode of Smart Tech Today. We thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to check out the show live, we record every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UTC. And so you just head to twit.tv/live for that. But the best way to get the show is on your time. And to do that, you head to twit.tv/STT for Smart Tech Today, where you can subscribe to the show in all of its formats, audio and video, across so many different places, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so, yeah, I mean, that's really what you should do. So you get it the moment it's out, and you don't have to worry about tuning in. But we do appreciate you, those of you who tune in live to watch the show. If you have questions, if you have thoughts, if you have project ideas, you can send those to stt@twit.tv. I've been collecting questions. We're going to have another question and answer episode soon. So if you haven't sent it in yet, do send it in because we love to answer those when we can. If folks want to follow you online and check out all the great work you're doing, Matthew, where do they go to do that?
You can find my website at matthewcassinelli.com, and that's CASSINELLI. Just last night, I decided to put a little bit more of the catalog into the free version. And so for every single shortcut, I've always had the description, and then I have a second note that is inside the shortcut itself, but was never public. So I made all of those public. Counted up the total, it's like 25,000 words. So it's basically a whole another half of a book about shortcuts that you can find freely now. So anytime you click on a shortcut, it'll tell you both like what the shortcut itself does, but then also how I use it. So it should be a little bit easier to understand just from browsing through my catalog exactly how you could use some of these shortcuts. So lots of fun. Always new shortcuts there every week too. What about you?
You can find me pretty much on everything as at Mikah Sargent or /Mikah Sargent. But of course, head to chihuahua.coffee, CHIHUAHUA.coffee, where I keep all of the links to the different places I exist online. So yeah, head there for that. And I think that does it. So it is time to say good afternoon to all of your smart assistants.
Good afternoon and have a great day.
Yes, have a good one.
Hi, I'm Jason Howell, host of All About Android. Each week, I'm joined by my co-hosts Ron Richards and Florence Ion, as well as a whole rotating cast of guests, journalists in the Android space, experts, developers, and even people working on Android behind the scenes at Google. We talk about everything that has to do with Android, and you don't want to miss a single episode so you know what's going on behind the scenes. That's twit.tv/AAA. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode.